So today, just so that you guys know what we've got on today's stuff, we're going to be doing 14.2, which is the exact same thing we have been doing the last 2 days. The only difference is now I'm going to shift them. Okay? So everything about it is still the same. The only difference is I'm going to shift them. Today, I'm only giving you sine and cosine. Okay, so I'm only going to work with those two. So the pictures, they're going to look like this. A times the sine. Oops. I can still fit that b in there. And then x minus h plus k. Or it's going to say y equals a times the cosine of b, x minus h plus k. We've had shifting before in a few different sections. What did the k do on the outside? On the outside goes up or down. Okay? So this thing here, up or down. What about the h? Left or right? So, on these...
No.
You still need to figure out the numbers. You'd never get the numbers, Markel. But anyway, with the h parts, and that's where it's going to get a little bit more confusing. Shifting it up or down, all it does is it takes that x-axis and basically just shifts it into a new spot for us. And then we still do the amp off of that line. So if I say everything moves up 2, I'm going to put what they call a midline, or like where the x-axis was. And then the amp was 3. I go up 3 from there and down 3 from there. And I still hit my curve. But the shifting it to the right or to the left is where it's going to throw a monkey wrench into it for you. Because you remember how we had our period, then you're going to have to add or subtract off of that. And that's the one that's going to cause more problems. So, the first one I've got for you, it says y equals 2 times the sine of 4x plus 3. Now, for this particular thing, we're still going to do the same directions. It's still going to say, draw 1 period's worth, identify the amp, identify the period. You're still going to do the same thing. Everything about it's the same. The only difference is, we're in a different spot. So, what's the amp? 2. What is the period? What number's in the B spot? 4. So I take 2 pi divided by 4, which is what? Oh, here we go. Let's see if we can actually get this one right. What is... we'll get to that here in a second. So now we go to graphing it. The one new piece that's different than what we've done the last 2 days is right there. Plus 3. Aaron, which way do we move for plus 3? Right. We go up. So, if I made the x and y axis like this, this is still the x-axis, that's still the y-axis, here's what would happen. Aaron said we move it up, and she was correct. And we're going to move it up how far, Brianna? 3. So that means we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make a dotted line, and that's going to be the line that the thing revolves around. Remember how I said that it kind of looks like a paper roll, and you put a string in the middle? That string in the middle is what I just drew. Okay? That's the midline. Now we go 2 units above that, and 2 units below that. One, 2. 1, 2. So my picture is going to be contained inside the red lines, which I know it's kind of hard to see. Maybe if I shut off the lights, you can see the colors a little bit differently. But the shape itself is going to be contained within the red lines. It's going to revolve around that black dotted line. Does that make sense? Now it's time to put the period on there. If I put this out at pi over 2, let's see if we can get this right now. What's half of a half? 1/4. Yay! Sorry, I don't mean to sound so sarcastic, but okay. Now, what's half of a 1/4? 1/8. Good. Now, what we've done in the past, or what some of you have done, and maybe not, I don't know. But if you take a half or an eighth plus an eighth, you get 2/8 or 1/4, plus another eighth would be 3/4. What Lexi had decided to do is she took, and just so that you guys know this, here's what she did. She added these two together, and that equaled that. That's another option. If that works for you, that's how you get that third number. And that's usually the number that is the most frequently missed. Okay, now, I put those on my number line. I did not put them on my midline that I'm going to draw the thing around. I put them on my number line. Now, sign. Do we start? No, we started at the origin, but remember, we're shifting everything up 3 according to what Aaron said. So, do we start on the midline or do we start on the red lines? The mid. We also end on the mid, and halfway we cross the mid. Now, which way do we go at the 1/8? Do we go up or do we go down? Up. At the 3/8, do we go up or down? Down. And the only difference is, it still looks the same. Everything about it is the same as the things we've been doing the last 2 days. The only difference is now it's not revolving around the x-axis anymore. It's been shifted. Okay? Now, just so that you guys do know this, is that I'm only going to deal with sine and cosine today. I'm not going to give you any of the other ones. We're going to take this a couple days to do this one. Cosine is the same exact way. Just where we start is different. Okay? But on Monday, when we get back to doing this stuff, I'm going to go through tangent, and then I'm also going to do reflections. Which reflections is not that bad. Reflections, instead of going up right away, you would go down, and so on. So, just so that we are okay with that. Let me give you a cosine one. Y equals 5 times the cosine of 2x minus 3 pi. Ooh, this time it's inside. Hannah, do you know what the amp is? 5. Good job. Thank you. Liz, do you know what number is in the B spot? 2. Good. So then when I do my period, I take 2 pi divided by 2. What happens with the deuces? They cancel, leaving you with a pi. That's your period. However, what's inside the grouping symbol? What's this going to do to my graph? It's going to shift it which way? Y to the right. Okay, it's going to shift it to the right. When it's inside the grouping symbol, it goes, like if it says negative 3 pi, it's going to go to the right. If it were to say plus 3 pi, it would go to the left. Always goes the opposite direction the sign says. Okay? So, how is that going to affect it? First of all, did I shift it up or down any? No. So my midline is still the x-axis. The difference is, if I say maybe that this is pi right here, and if that would have been the cosine, so normally I would have stopped it, the amp was 5, we said, right? 5. 5. Normally it would have been here, and we would have done half of that and half of that and then everything else in there. But now we're shifting everything to the right, 3 pi. So what's 1 pi plus 3 pi? Four pi, right. 1 plus 3 is 4. Good job. Now, watch what's going to happen. Okay, this isn't going to be, it's not going to be this big, elongated, nice, smooth curve like it normally was. If we had it originally between or contained between here, it would have been here, here, halfway would have been here, halfway and halfway was where it would have crossed. That's what the thing would have looked like. What it wants you to do with shifting is now you're just going to move that whole piece over. So when you do this, it's not going to be where I'm going to say, well, half of 4 was 2, so at that point it should be down here, and half of that, so no, it's not going to be this big swooping thing. Everything gets moved over. So at the pi over here at the 4, it's going to hit, and then if you look at 1 pi's worth over, so 1 pi's worth over is going to hit here again. Halfway between there, it's going to hit. Halfway and halfway is where it's going to hit here and here. I know. I move. So all I did was I shifted everything over to the left, or to the right, 3 units. Okay? Now, do I have to have both pictures? No. But what happened was, when I had my 1 period's worth, because if you did it the wrong way, if you were to take this thing and start it at 4, and say it ended here, and halfway it would be down here, and made one big swooping V, you'd be at 4 pi for the period, not 1 pi. Okay? That's why you don't go all the way. You're still only going 1 period's worth, which means everything should be contained from 4 pi to 3 pi. Now, if I wanted to, could I continue this journey, and connect them? Yeah. Do I have to? No. This is the only part that's the answer, is right there. Just that part. Most of your stuff today is going to be where half the assignment, honestly, is matching, where they're going to give you some pictures and give you some equations and say, which one does this match? And the other half is where you're going to have to draw some. Again, I didn't put any of them on there where we're reflecting today. All of them are being where we're shifting to the left or to the right or up or down. There may be one of them that you have to do both. So what happens if I have to do both? If I would have had to shift that one up 4, what would I have done? I would have moved that midline or that x-axis up 4 units, and I would have drawn the same thing, right? Is this anything? What's the only piece that's really different? Yeah, the only thing that's different is now I might have to shift it to the right or to the left, or up or down. But other than that, as far as drawing the pictures, they're all the same. Okay? So, on page 919, 4 through 20 evens.